especially like real food, sleep, training. You don't need to take a shit ton of pills and powders and different things, especially if you're eating with a mostly whole food diet that allows us to hit our macros, that allows us to hit our micronutrients. Most of that stuff is going to be covered, right? The only supplement I think I would say I push a lot or promote the most would be like a protein supplement because most of us don't hit our protein with the right foods. But everyone here in this call, at least, has done a great job of being able to hit their protein targets even without protein powders, right? Getting it in through different various sources. So the big thing is always to focus on training, sleep, managing our stress, real food, good quality stuff, because that will always come first. I always like to use the analogy of a cake, right? Supplements like the decoration, it's like the icing on the cake, but the cake itself is our training, our food, our sleep, our stress. You can have all the icing you want, but it's not going to actually do anything for us if there's no cake that is in place, right? So supplements are meant to add, not meant to replace. There's 4 categories of supplements based on stuff I've kind of looked at. So number one is like performance-based supplements. So these are typically things that we take to improve our performance in the gym or improve our performance if we are running or doing cardio or doing some sort of activity, right? I think the 2 biggest ones in this category is number one going to be creatine monohydrate, right? Creatine is one of the most researched supplements out there and it's been shown to boost strength, power, lean muscle, our recovery. It's even been shown to improve our cognitive benefits. They say if you're sleep deprived, if you take a little bit more creatine, your brain is actually going to be a little bit sharper. Reaction time is going to be faster. You're going to be a little bit sharper cognitively, right? And out of all of the supplements out there, creatine is probably the most researched and most safe. The only time I would advise someone not take creatine is if they have pre-existing kidney issues or chronic kidney disease or kidney failure, anything like that. That is the only time I would advise someone to not take creatine. And a common myth with creatine is that if you take it, you're going to go bald. Unfortunately, creatine is not the reason I'm bald. That's more of a genetic thing. So creatine doesn't cause baldness. I don't want you guys to get scared away by that. I know I'm probably not the best spokesperson for that myth, but alas, it is what it is. When it comes to how much to take, typically you hear the term of 5 grams a day. I think this part really depends on how big of a person you are, right? I think there's a certain benchmark out there, but for most people, if you're say over 170 to 190 pounds, you probably want to get closer to 8 grams per day. And then if you're even like if you're over 200 pounds, 230 pounds, maybe closer to 10 to 15 grams per day, just because you are a bigger person, so you need more of that thing to help saturate within your blood, and that's gonna be more beneficial, right? So ideally, taking a little bit more than 5 grams per day. And unlike another common myth I've heard is that you need to take a loading phase and take creatine for 20 grams every single day for 7 days or 14 days. That's not necessarily true. You can just take 5 grams or the 8 to 10 grams or 5 to 10 grams, whatever that might be consistently, and you should be good. The other big performance-based supplement I've seen that I think is also really well researched is caffeine. You're going to see this in pre-workouts and coffee and energy drinks. Essentially, boosts energy and focus. Big thing with caffeine is that you don't want to overdo it because it does take away from your sleep. Caffeine is something I take quite often and quite a hefty amount, but I've realized if I take more than about 400 milligrams, or if I take it later on the day afternoon, my sleep does get impacted, and that affects me the next day. And the last thing you want to get into is like a vicious cycle where you're kind of taking caffeine to stay awake, and then your sleep gets messed up, and then you gotta take it again, and then eventually at some point something is gonna give, and caffeine goes up. So use it smartly. It also can be a little bit of an appetite suppressant for some people as well. So that could also be something we use it for. But those are the 2 big things in terms of performance-based supplements. There's beta alanine. There's what else is there? There's like L-carnitine. There's a bunch of other things, but if you have any questions about that, we can go through that. Number 2, protein and recovery. So when it comes to protein, there's like 3 main protein sources. There's our whey protein, This is typically the most common type of protein. You can get it in an isolate or a concentrate. This can help you get your protein goals. Very easy to have post workout or in your breakfast. So pretty much any day throughout any time throughout the day to make sure you're hitting your protein goals. The other most common one is a plant-based protein. So if you don't digest milk well, if you're lactose, if you just have some sort of allergy to whey protein, plant-based protein is the next best option. So you can go with I think like a soy-based protein or a pea protein. It's not as good in terms of the quality of the protein as whey. However, if you're not able to get one, this would be a great second option, right? You can also fit in whenever. And then you might have heard of casein protein. So casein protein is very similar to whey protein. It's still part of milk. It's just a bit slower digesting. So if you get hungry at night or if you struggle to take your protein, that can be something you take. Typically, you take casein protein because it digests slower. You can have it feed that muscle building process over the course of nighttime. But honestly, out of my experience working with people and even myself, I don't think I would ever choose casein protein unless it was just there. I wouldn't go out of my way to choose that. And then the other one when it comes to recovery is going to be collagen. Collagen um, can sometimes be marketed as protein. I think some people have reached out to me in the past and like, oh, this collagen supplement has 10 grams of protein. Um, the protein that we get from collagen is not necessarily the same protein quality or type of protein that our body absorbs as opposed to whey or a plant-based or a casein protein, right? This is more to help the soft tissue. When I say soft tissue, I'm saying things like tendons and ligaments, um, pretty much any time we're experiencing some sort of joint, that's what soft tissue comprises of or exists, right? So collagen is great for that. If you have joints that hurt, if you have sort of injuries that you want to heal from, collagen would then be a good option to incorporate. But the protein from collagen, I wouldn't count it towards your dietary protein because you don't absorb it the same. General health and function. These are like the three big supplements that I recommend to everyone when it comes to general health and just like things that you are probably lacking that you can benefit from. So number one is vitamin D, especially if you are in the north or you're on the poles, right? I'd say Canada, UK, the US for some parts. Places where we don't get a lot of sun consistently, that's when you want to really up vitamin D, right? Vitamin D is amazing for regulating our mood, our immune system, our hormones, all that sort of stuff. So being able to consistently stay on top of that. If you get your regular blood test and you get that checked out, it'll tell you where your vitamin D level is at. Most people find, especially South Asians, when they get it checked, their vitamin D is pretty low. So you can go pretty crazy with that in terms of how much vitamin D you can take and how you'll feel good, how you'll feel with that. Omega-3 is also a good one. So it's like our fish oil. This is good for cognitive function. Once again, our brain, our joints, inflammation, bringing all that down, making sure we have that. You can get this through salmon as well, or eggs, I believe. But that's also a good one to supplement. And then the other one that I really like to use for myself, I get every single day, but I like to recommend is magnesium glycinate, right? So there's different types of magnesium. There's citrate, that's the other most common one, but magnesium glycinate I find really helps with our sleep, really helps with our recovery, and really helps with our stress. So when our body is stressed out, magnesium is one of the first. Magnesium is technically a mineral. It's one of the first minerals that get depleted because our body uses it up when we are sleeping or when we are recovering. Magnesium, if we supplement it, it allows our body to get really good at recovering because we're providing that building block for it, right? And then the glycine or glycinate part of um, magnesium glycinate allows us to get better sleep quality. It allows us to get into deeper sleep that we can incorporate. So I like to typically take about 400 to 600 milligrams of magnesium glycinate per day just before bed because it helps you relax a little bit, helps you recover from that stress, and then just puts you in a much better spot. If your diet is poor, a multivitamin, a general multivitamin is typically a good thing to incorporate, but definitely optional. I would say it's probably the most optional out of all of them. And then we got the extras. So this is like probably the most popular ones, what people will push on you, what people will tell you works. So fat burners, um, extras like testosterone boosters, things like that, green tea extract, L-carnitine, CLA. These are often marked marketed as things that burn fat, right? But when we look at the actual research behind it, there's very minimal real effects. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, if you're not in a calorie deficit, it doesn't matter what fat burners you're taking, it's not going to work. If anything, the green tea extract or the L-carnitine and the CLA might help us suppress our appetite so we eat less, right? So that's why making sure our sleep, our protein, and our workouts, those are on point. If they're not, all of these supplements, it doesn't really matter what we're doing. We're not going to see the results that we want. What you don't need. These are some of the most common ones that I find are advertised that we typically tend to get. That I used to get all of these, right? So BCAAs or EAAs. BCAA stands for branch chain amino acids, and EAA stands for essential amino acids. And when we hear essential amino acids, we're like, oh, our body needs them. These are essentially just protein, right? If we are consuming protein at the end of the day, those science class lesson for you is an amino acid, right? So if we're eating a sufficient amount of protein, we do not need BCAAs. We do not need EAAs, especially pre-workout or post-workout. It is not going to make a difference. It essentially just flavors your water, and if you like that, that's great. You can have that for that purpose, but don't think you're going to get any extra gains from BCAAs or EAAs. Testosterone boosters. I would say 99% of testosterone boosters are a scam, unless it's a steroid, because that is truly the only way you can boost your testosterone. And they will never sell that to you readily in a store in Australia or the US. In Canada, you might be able to get it under the table. With that being said, if someone tells you this thing will boost your testosterone, unless it's actually like trend or test, chances are your testosterone is not being boosted. It is not really going to do anything for you. They might do things like certain things like ashwagandha or Tongat Ali. Those things might help with their recovery, might help with their sleep, which do in fact help with their test, but it doesn't directly affect our testosterone. Detox teas. So I know my dad takes this for sure, but green teas and things like that, they think it burns fat. If anything, it just causes us to have smoother bowel movements, so we feel a little bit lighter. We have better digestion, which is gonna help us lose some of that bloating, but it doesn't actually burn fat. When we look at fat burners, typically the main ingredient in something like an oxy shred, right, or any sort of fat burner is caffeine. And what caffeine does, like we talked about before, is it gives us energy, but also suppresses our appetite. So it makes us not hungry. So when we take it early on in the day, because caffeine gives us energy, we feel really wired and we're not hungry, we're going to be eating a lot less, right? Caffeine or fiber is the usual culprits to what's behind them. So instead of paying for a really expensive fat burner, you can just get caffeine pills on Amazon and have the exact same effect for like I would say 1/10 of the cost, maybe even 1/100th of the cost for a lot of these things. Miscellaneous. So these are some of the supplements that I typically see that I've either had a conversation with one of you guys or someone has sent it to me or whatnot. Apple cider vinegar. I'm sure you guys have all heard of apple cider vinegar promoting more fat loss. The thing with apple cider vinegar is I find it's a very strong taste that prevents us from eating because there's just a very strong taste in our mouth. So our appetite is suppressed just from having that. Just like if you were to have some sort of flavored water, it's just kind of like that. There's no boosting effects from regulating your pH or having more vinegar that's going to burn more fat. Unimate, I don't know if you guys heard that one. That's a very popular company I found that is pushing your product right now, right? And they're like, oh, if you take this drink before any of your meals, you can have whatever meal you want. You can lose all the fat. Unimate is essentially yerba mate, which is a type of caffeine. It's a derivative of caffeine, so it gives us energy, right? And it's all. They also use a fiber supplement. So essentially, they have fiber before they have their meals. What fiber does is, I think most of you guys have had fiber supplements like Metamucil and such. It fills you up a little bit, right? So when you have something that fills you up and then you go to eat something, you're not going to be as hungry. So that's why Unimate is advertised as this weight loss sort of medication because people are like, oh, if you just take this for you eat, you can eat whatever you want. Well, it just makes you a little bit less hungry. And at the end of the day, if you're still overeating, it doesn't really matter. Tongat Ali, this one has been sort of referenced as like a testosterone booster. Like we talked about, it doesn't directly boost your testosterone. If there is some effects for it helping your sleep or helping your lifestyle, maybe. But I think this one is a little bit less effective than actually ashwagandha, which I've taken in the past before as well. This helps with your sleep quality, helps with sort of regulating your stress levels. I'm not personally a big fan of this one just because I did find I was very what do you call it? I went really numb to everything in my life, which wasn't a good sign when people are depending on you to have emotional reactions to things. So I just kind of went super, super numb. It was great. When you have a partner, it's not so fun. So I would discourage that one just for that. But if it helps you out, it could also be something that we're taking as well. Ashwagandha just helps with us managing stress, which will at the end of the day improve our um, ability to perform. There's GABA as well, which is what does that stand for? Oh, I'm blanking hard. I need to do this one. Sorry, guys. Gamma aminobutyric acid. So essentially, what GABA is that's a neurotransmitter that gets released when we are stressed out, very similar to magnesium. So if we re-up on GABA as we're stressed out, we can actually reduce a lot of the stress levels and have our body be in a better spot to mitigate that. Iron is another big one. I've noticed this in South Asian women, particularly. Iron is often a very low, and we see that in dizziness. We see that in energy. If you're not eating red meat, you're not going to get a lot of iron. And considering most South Asian people are vegetarian, makes sense as to why we're not getting that. So that can also be something to supplement. Fiber is the big one. I know I've talked to a lot of you guys about fiber as well, but making sure we have soluble and non-soluble fibers so our digestion is very, very good. If we're not digesting things very well, we're not absorbing the nutrients that we're putting in our body, and we're going to be backed up, we're going to be bloated, low energy, brain fog, all that sort of stuff. I put melatonin in here as well. That's a supplement I've used. I like to use it occasionally if I'm restless. But yeah, it just helps put us to sleep. It doesn't necessarily improve our sleep quality. Maybe you can get dependent on it, but most people I know don't use it all the time. Any other supplement questions? Any other supplements that you guys have seen that you're considering, you're curious about? What are some supplements you guys are taking that you'd love to get some feedback on?
Not really a question. Maybe you mentioned this earlier in your presentation, but like, is it bad to get like some of your vitamins and like your omega threes from supplements, or is it okay if you're supplementing if
So
you're not
I
getting
think
as much of it?
yeah, so the first thing I start off with is if you're getting most of your things from real like whole foods, proper training, proper sleep, a supplement will never beat that. If anything, it will add to it. But I find when it comes to the vitamin D or the omegas or things like that, where we might not necessarily be able to get it in on our diet, that's when having a supplement considerably goes a long way. And if you guys can get your blood work done, that'll give you a much better idea of okay, like this is high, this is low, this is what I need to focus on. I might not be able to run you particularly through your own blood work, but we can talk about who to refer you to be able to get you someone that's actually able to break it down for you. So the supplements that you're taking do matter as well.
Because my girlfriend makes me like a bunch of like this is just a concoction of stuff. So I guess another question, like, is it bad if you're supplementing on top of your regular food just to make sure you're hitting everything? Like, I'm not gonna get like vitamin A poisoning or vitamin C poisoning, but like,
I think
does it hurt?
it depends on the type of vitamin. I think there's certain ones that have there's like toxicity amounts, right?
Mhm.
So there's gonna be a lot to get into, but like there's two amounts. There's the RDA, which is the dietary average that they typically recommend you. I think the USADA or some regulatory body is like, oh, eat this much, have this much vitamin D. I find that amount is really low for most people, right? That's just like what they want to have to like cover their bases. And then they talk about like the toxicity amount of like vitamin C or vitamin D, for example, and that's way higher. Obviously, it's going to depend person to person. If you are noticing any, that's why I like to do things one at a time. I don't like just to take bunch of supplements all at once. You kind of want to see how things react to your body and kind of go from there.
That's a good idea.
Sick. Could track on MyFitnessPal and you know the level. Yeah, with your whole foods that you're having, Sluxon, for sure. Once you put foods in, I think with some of you guys, if we look at fiber on MyFitnessPal, but you can see all the micronutrients for the most part when you're putting foods in and looking at your daily logs as well in terms of where you're getting these micronutrients, how certain foods have them as well. Cool. Anyone have any supplements that they're using right now?
I take creatine,
Yeah.
Metamucil, and then
Yeah.
that concoction that I mentioned. I don't know what's in it.
What's in it?
I don't know. It's like honestly like 6 pills. I know omega-3 is a new one in it. That we got recently. I think there's some vitamins and magnesium, calcium, stuff like that.
I would check the dosage on all of those because I find even like with my vitamin D, like everything that I've had is just really really underdosed, right? Per
Okay.
pill or whatever. Like I probably take like 6 or 7 of my vitamin D pills per day.
Oh my god.
With my magnesium, I'm probably taking like 3 or 4 of those considerably
Okay.
per day, just because everyone's gonna be different, but
Yeah.
most of the time it's really really underdosed, right?
Fair enough.
So that's why, like, if you're taking one of each, it's probably not going to do much. But if
Yeah.
you're like, taking a lot of
Okay.
something, it'll go a long way.
That makes sense. I'll look into it.
Yeah. I'd say my current supplement routine, like I said, is the magnesium, is the vitamin D. I also take vitamin K a little bit because it helps the vitamin D absorption. I'll take protein powder here and there. I will take the creatine monohydrate, and then caffeine or pre-workout is typically my go-to here and there. I don't take caffeine. I don't take pre-workout all the time. Maybe like once a week or once every 2 weeks when I either want to have a really good workout and I want to have some fun, or like if my sleep and my lifestyle has an absolute dog shit and I need to wake up. So that's when I typically throw the band-aid solution on and kind of figure it out later. But anything else that you guys are taking that we haven't really mentioned? Slux and Viv?
Yeah, I'm just curious about creatine, but I need to try it.
You haven't taken it, right?
Yeah, I just been like hitting PRs, so like I was just like, all right, when I cap, it'll be like, you know, that'll be like the time to do it. But I think I'm hitting that point right
You have a
now.
back pocket that you can pull out.
Yeah,
Honestly, I think creatine, it's good. It's not like it's bad, but it's not like you're gonna blow up considerably just taking creatine, right? Like you might get a little bit fuller. You might notice a little bit more strength, but because it takes such a long time to saturate or to like actually take effect in your body, you probably won't notice it, right? So that's the big thing. Sai, any supplements that you're taking that we haven't mentioned?
No, I pretty much take everything you mentioned. Yeah, pre-workout, creatine. I actually take protein water, which has got the collagen in it as well.
How's that?
So I take that as like so that's like my extra workout sort of drink. So which has got the protein. It just happens to have collagen. I don't go out of my way to get it.
Is that it?
And then yeah, just normal whey protein isolate. Sort of make a milkshake out of it. And yeah, I've got magnesium, but I have to check the ingredients because I don't think it's the one that you mentioned with the G. Yeah,
Is it the citrate one?
yeah, I think it might be that. It's a citrus flavor. It's like a powder. Definitely helps, but it might not be the yeah,
Yeah.
not the right one. Yeah,
It depends, because I know if you take a bunch of citrate ones, then you just get straight diarrhea water the whole time, which is not fun for anyone. Even my glycinate one, it took me like I'd say probably a week or so to get used to because that much magnesium, and I was just shitting water for like the next 4 days. I'm like, what
yeah,
the fuck is going on? So it took me a while. And I'm
fair.
like, oh, it's this, and once my body started adapting to it, and I sort of worked my way up to it, now it's fine. Yeah, I would look into that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Apart from that, yeah, the only other thing is probably yeah, ashwagandha and tonkat ali. Yeah, take the fish oils and vitamin D as well, and a multivitamin. I like with the supplements, like you said, like yeah, I try to get it from the food, but like just in case as well, I just
Exactly.
take the tablets. Yeah.
I think that goes along with sweet. Any other questions, concerns, things you guys have heard about supplements? Okay, we're good. Perfect, Slux, and we're good. Sweet. In terms of the rest of the week, guys, what are our action items as we go in? What are we looking to focus on? Sid, we'll start with you. What are we gonna do this weekend?
Just gonna try to stay locked in. I have a trip coming up with some good friends, so I'll try my best to stay locked into it. You know, we're all like health minded, so I'm sure we're gonna go on some walks and do some things outside. So just gonna try to stay active all weekend.
Get some hikes in, do something good.
Yeah.
Sick. Sai, what's the game plan for you for the rest of the week?
Yeah, just stick to the targets. Yeah, got a tattoo appointment on Monday, so just probably got all my upper body workouts done this week. Yeah, that way I can focus on just legs pretty much next week. But I
Sounds
do
good.
got to jump off. I got another phone call to get on to. But yeah, nice meeting everyone, and I'll catch you next week.
Perfect. Take it easy, Sai.
Yeah.
Viv, 30 degrees. What are we doing this weekend? It's gonna be 35, I think, on Sunday. What do we got lined up?
Honestly, I think I'm just gonna try to cardio at the hotel and just sweat my ass off. Unfortunately, sweating doesn't equate more calories, so I'm just gonna be suffering in the hotel.
Yeah, have fun. Make sure you get hydrated. Did you send me your hotel gym? I don't think I got a chance to look at that.
What am I looking at?
Okay. So Luxon, what are we looking to focus on the rest of the week, bro?
Probably catching up on work.
Goddamn. Did you get your workout in yesterday?
Yeah, I did. I'm gonna go right now, hopefully.
Get it done. What are your steps at right now?
Horrible.
What do you mean?
I treat this shit like it's a deadline for like a 12 a.m. deadline. I'll be at like 11 p.m. Like, all right, time to time to lock in.
Oh my goodness. Oh my. Viv
So
said to
to ask
Luxon.
me at 11:59, and I'll have a good answer.
What are you sitting at right now?
No, like nothing, like 2K probably.
Buddy,
That's shit.
we gotta get 10 by the end of this. So fucking figure it out.
I know.
Something similar. I hit like a late night workout the other day, and it was like 11:40. I'm like, bro, I was with my girlfriend. I'm like, bro, we have to go home now because I want these home to count for today and not tomorrow.
Do that every day.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's bang it out. Let's stay locked in this week. If you guys have any questions, you know where to find me. And yeah, let's fucking crush it.
Sounds
Take
good.
it easy.
Easy, guys. Later. Peace.
Easy.